and welcome to Chairman of the Board. With me, Dan Honeyball. Today we're going to be talking about Operation F.A.U.S.T. Now this is a World War II themed game where 3 to 8 players compete to recover £1 million worth of art before the evil Nazis get their dirty fingers on them. So let's get straight into the review. So in Operation F.A.U.S.T, players are essentially trying to build up a pool of intel in order to perform an action to buy one of these pieces of art from a face-down pile. Now these pieces of art can be one of the following. They can be these normal pieces of art, such as the Mona Lisa I have here, which is worth $500,000. Remember, players are competing for the first to get to $1 million. So that's a particularly good card. But they can also be these forgery pieces of art. Now these forgery pieces of art are really interesting because in order for them to contribute towards your total value of art, then you need to have one of these attached to it, which is a certificate of authenticity. Now players can buy one of these for 3 intel. So it's quite interesting because if you have one of these, you have to spend the extra to get one of these. But there are a number of ways that players can kind of take these off you or take these off you, which is quite a cool dynamic. So I'm going to go into now is how the cards actually work. So we have a number of different plot cards here, which it's a cool concept because they have 2 abilities. One of the abilities requires you to just have them in your hand, and one of them requires you to table the card in order to use that ability, which tends to be a stronger ability because you have to discard your card essentially. But what makes this really cool is that when you claim one of these abilities, you do not actually have to show this card to your opponents. So that's an element of deduction comes in because there are only a certain amount of each card in the actual pack. And I'm just going to go into that now. Okay, so my favourite mechanic in Operation F.A.U.S.T is the whole bluffing aspect. As I said earlier, players don't actually have to show the cards they are currently playing, and at any time any of the other players can challenge you on that action. And to do that they just simply say, I don't think you've got that card, I'm going to challenge you. Now in the event of a challenge, the player who has been challenged has to reveal his cards. And if he is found out to be lying, then he gives half his intel to that player. If he's found out to be telling the truth, then the player who challenged him has to give half their intel to him. So it kind of enforces that you don't just go around making blind accusations because you've always got something to lose or to gain. So it kind of creates this really cool interactive atmosphere, and also it requires a good good amount of memory because it kind of has that deduction element to it. You have to remember which cards have already been discarded because there are only a certain amount of each cards in the actual deck. So I love that aspect of it. I also love the fact that it's so easy to learn and it can be played by inexperienced and new gamers. It also facilitates a high number of players, up to 8, so you can really create a good atmosphere, and it doesn't take long to play. I actually also like the actual theme of this game as well. I mean, it's not incredibly thematic, but the actual idea of it is great. It's very original. I don't think I've ever seen any other game where players are competing to collect art. So I like that. It's very original, and I kind of applaud the originality of it. So I'm going to go into a few of the things that maybe need to be addressed with Operation F.A.U.S.T. Okay, so the actual issue I have with this it's not an issue, it's more of a kind of something I feel like I need to mention. So Operation F.A.U.S.T is a fun game, but look at the box here. Does that scream fun to you? That has got to be one of the most morbid and depressing pieces of box art I've ever seen in my life. I understand what they're trying to go for. It's World War II. It's trying to be, moody. But, I mean, if you're looking for a fun game, you're probably not going to go pick this up. So, I'm kind of thinking from the actual designer's perspective here. I mean, really? Also, I actually think this game although I said it's good because it doesn't last very long, I almost would like it to last longer, because sometimes some of the endings of the games can seem a bit anticlimactic. I mean, it can almost, because some of the artwork varies so much in value, then sometimes it only takes a couple of purchases for someone to win. And they're like, oh, that was quick, kind of thing, you know? So, I mean, maybe you can kind of change it to need a higher value, but I don't know how that scales, so I'll have to look into that. But just a couple of things I thought I'd address. So, you know, taking all these things into consideration, let's go straight into the conclusion. Okay, so overall, I actually think Operation Faust is a really good little filler game. I mean, you don't hear a lot about this game. It hasn't got a lot of publicity, or I just saw it and I took a punt on it, and I'm glad I did, because everyone I've played it with has really enjoyed it. It doesn't take too long. It's easy to learn and teach, and it's different. I mean, yeah, the artwork could be maybe improved somewhat, but the idea is great. It's very individual and unique, so I like that. I also really love the bluffing aspect to it. It makes a really fun atmosphere, and it makes it a lot more interactive than it would be if it wasn't there. I also like that the cards have 2 separate abilities to add more kind of variation to the games. So yeah, I mean, overall, I would really recommend Operation F.A.U.S.T to those looking for a simple filler game. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been Chairman of the Board. Please check out my other videos and like and subscribe if you feel like you want to. So I'll see you next time, and thank you very much.